Welcome to Purpose Writers YouTube page. I am Dr. Althea Jones, and I am creating these videos as a part of the Grieving series. The Grieving series is a series created based upon my book, How Long Does Grieving Take? As we know, that grieving is a process that typically happens after someone loses something significant in their life. It is a process where someone experiences various emotions in their lives after their life has changed from having what they used to have to no longer having that thing that was valuable to them. And so in this series, in this video, I am going to be sharing different type of losses that causes grief in a person's life. And I'm going to start with the death of a loved one. I am going to use myself for example as someone who has experienced losing in their life, losing significant and valuable people. I have lost my grandmother, I have lost spouse, I have lost friendships and relationships. And in doing so, the process caused grief in my life. And I had to go through the process and feel various emotions like frustration, sadness, and disappointment. As we know that grief is a process where a person experiences various emotions in various ways, and grief happens in waves. And so the death of a loved one is a universal factor that creates grief or causes grief in the lives of individuals. Secondly is the loss of a job. Another universal loss in a person's life that creates grief. No matter whether it is a loss of a job because of budget cuts or because of new management, the loss of a job is never easy, and it changes people's lives from having stability from that job to typically no stability at all, which can create grief in the life of that person's heart and mind, because they have to rewire and rethink and try to get another job so that they can have stability. The next type of loss that I want to highlight is the loss of health. Sometimes in our lives, we end up having health issues that we never expected. Loved ones end up having health issues that they never expected. And life changes in the way from being mobile to being non-mobile, or from being functional to being non-functional. And when that takes place, grief is created because of what a person once was able to do and what they are no longer able to do. As it's been stated, grief is a process that typically happens because of the loss of something significant in someone's life. Grief looks different for everyone, and not only does it look different for everyone, what a person loses looks different for everyone. Grief is not only natural, but grief can also come from spiritual incidents as well. If you are a believer, you know that there are moments in your life where you have had to lose things in order to win what God wanted you to have. For me, I have been in processes where I have had to go through separation, I have had to go through rejection, abandonment, and the like, which creates grief in your life. Similar to the experience of Job, Job was someone who lost everything he had known. He was someone who had lost all that he had had. But the ultimate purpose of the losses was so that he could come in contact with God's purpose for his life. After he lost everything, after he went through his process, God in turn gave him what he lost again. Joseph, another example, was betrayed by his brothers, sent somewhere else, but God in turn used him for a greater purpose. The loss for Joseph was his family, but Joseph later reconnected with his family, but as the person God wanted him to be. And so loss can be both natural and spiritual. And in my book, How Long Does Grieving Take?, I highlight both spiritual and natural aspects of grief. If you are someone in a grieving process or you want to learn more about grief, go over to my website and grab my book, How Long Does Grieving Take? While we know in the natural that there is no time frame for grief, we also know that in the spiritual, with faith, God's power, and God's might, that the loss of something can always be replaced with God's purpose. And so, How Long Does Grieving Take? Is available on my website at www.purposewritings.store. Go over and grab your copy to learn more about the grieving process and the difference between natural losses and spiritual losses and grief.